CBT, you're the professor in this. Explain what CBT is.
Cognitive behavior therapy, or CBT, is a widely studied kind of therapy that's action-oriented, and it's really designed to change what we say to ourselves, how we behave, and how we feel.
Can you explain to everybody the sequence of what happens? Like, what is the order? Is it like that something happens outside of you, you have a sensation, then you act, or you have a thought? Like, what is the chain that we want to become aware of if we're going to apply the skills you're going to teach us today?
Such a great question, Mel, because the first thing, if we're going to apply any skills, we need to create a pause. And in that pause, we need to do a couple of things. First, we need to understand what was the situation that triggered any kind of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. I actually call this the thoughts, emotions, and behavior cycle.
Okay,
right?
Thoughts, emotion, behavior, cycle. Can we take the example of you waking up and not wanting to get out of bed?
Yes, absolutely. So any kind of situation, I woke up, my brain started to spin and basically said, what if Mel Robbins doesn't like me? It was the first thought I had this morning. I have to just be honest with everybody listening. No, I mean, the anxious brain never quiets down, right? And so that thought, what if she doesn't like me, led to an emotion, which for me was a little anxiety and heart pounding. My heart pounds pretty strongly. And then my behavior was the third component, was wanting to just stay in bed. I was like, maybe I just want to stay in bed. And you asked, what is the sequence? Well, it depends on the entryway. For me, it was a thought, right? Yep. She's not going to like me. It made me anxious. And then I wanted to behave a certain way. But they ping pong, like, right? If I laid in bed a little longer, I bet it would have gone this way. Yeah, maybe I didn't bring the right outfit. The outfit makes a difference. She's so powerful. She's really not going to like me. What if I say the wrong thing? And those thoughts would go really fast. The anxiety would shoot up, and then the covers would come over. And then by the time I got out of bed, my baseline anxiety would be so high that I'd be having trouble thinking. That trouble thinking would be interpreted as, oh, see, you do have a problem with anxiety. And now the avalanche. And so it's a ping pong. And it's so fast. And that's why that pause is so important, right?
Wow. Okay.
We need, whenever the anxiety happens, this is a trick that I can share with everybody that you can use and you can do it right now. How do you pause is the question, right? Take a piece of paper and literally write down your thoughts, link them to your emotions, link them to specific behavior. What do you want to do? And this is why. What we know scientifically is that writing activates the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex, the part that helps us organize, execute, right? It's the center of the brain. That's the critical part of the brain. It is always competing for energy with our amygdala, the fight, flight, or freeze part of the brain. So when one is on, the other one tends to quiet down. So if you're in your anxious brain, get out of there by writing your thoughts, emotions, and behavior cycle. Just that little trick alone, I've seen hundreds of patients stop their anxiety cycle and that avalanche by creating that pause.
Let's take the example of being afraid to go into work. That you are worried that something's going to happen. Your boss is going to be a jerk, or you're going to have a panic attack, or you're going to screw up that huge sales meeting that you have. And so you have that feeling of just, I need to not go. That avoidance that we're going to talk a lot about today. So what do you do in that instance?
So a couple of things here. The first one, I would write down the specific thoughts, right?
Okay.
A lot of our anxiety is fed through what we're saying to ourselves, right? We started to have heart pounding. We've been talking about heart pounding. If I came home from a jog and my heart was pounding, I'd be like, okay. But if I'm sitting here getting ready to work and my heart pounds, your brain wants to make sense of it. So then it starts to create a narrative about that heart pound. But it's just a heart pound. That's all it is.
True.
So we pause. Okay, I'm going to mess up the sales meeting, right? I'm going to F it up. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, once we pause, then we want to be able to ask questions of our thoughts, right? Oh. Let's interrogate. Let's become lawyers together.
Okay.
What is the evidence that you have right now that you're going to mess it up?
I've messed it up before.
Okay, how many times have you messed it up, Mel?
Twice.
How many presentations have you given to this team?
100.
100. Okay, so based on that, what's the probability that you're going to mess it up?
2%.
2%. Okay, so maybe you are going to mess it up. There's 2% chance. If you mess it up, what is the worst that will happen?
I'll be embarrassed.
Have you been embarrassed before?
Yes.
Have you been able to tolerate being embarrassed?
Yeah.
It sort of sucks.
Yeah,
I'm with
it sucks.
you. It sucks. So the worst case scenario is you're going to be embarrassed. There's 2% chance.
What if they fire me?
When was the last time they fired you?
They haven't fired me. I'm still employed.
Oh, really? That's amazing. So maybe they'll fire you, but sounds like the probability is small as well.
Yes.
But there is a small probability.
Yes.
Now, has anybody in this company ever been fired on the spot? Like, oh, you messed up, you embarrassed, fired.
Well, they've laid people off, but I don't think, not that I know of.
It sounds to me like your brain is basically saying, I'm going to be embarrassed, and then they're going to fire me on the spot, and I'm going to be humiliated, and I'm going to be in the corner all alone.
Yes, which makes me want to avoid it.
Of course it does. I would too. I mean, it feels awful to do that. But what is the probability really, Mel, that all those events are going to happen in that sequence?
Very, very small.
So what can you say to yourself based on your performance in the past that might change that narrative in your brain right now?
Whew. That I've been nervous before, and I've shown up and done a good job in the presentations.
And when you say that to yourself, how does it feel?
Like I don't believe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that anxiety, has that grip on you.
And when we just start to change our perspective, shift our thinking, we don't believe right away because there's so much history of the anxiety-driven thoughts. So I don't need you to believe it. What I need you to do is be able to say that to yourself over and over again. And I need you to show up, Mel. I need you to approach.
You know what I love about this? I love that you said, I don't have to believe it.
You don't have, because it's impossible to. Your brain is anxious, and everybody thinks CBT, we're trying to just force people to have positive thoughts. That does not work. Let me say that again. Positive thoughts alone does not work. We have to reframe. We have to rewire our brain, and it takes time to rewire our brain. It can't be like overnight, but it's the first step towards a better life, right? I mean, if we talk to our best friends the way we talk to ourselves, let's be clear, we'd have no friends.
That's so true. That is so true. Can we unpack avoidance? Mm-hmm. Because it's not just an anxiety response.
No.
Like I'm thinking about the number of conversations that people avoid, the number of situations that people avoid, the number of experiences that people want to do. Like I can think about one for myself where my daughter, Sawyer, and Chris have both gone skydiving. And our son is turned 18 and he wants to go skydiving. And I feel this pull of wanting to do it, but I am scared shitless of doing it. And I can feel the avoidance in my body. It's not anxiety. It is like a wall, but I feel like this avoidance topic, can we blow it open so that anybody listening who's like, well, I don't have anxiety, but you're avoiding something.
Oh, yeah.
So talk to us about what avoidance looks like, what are surprising kind of symptoms or ways that people avoid things.
I'm definitely going to talk about avoidance next second, but before, I wanted to commit to go skydiving with me. Come on, Mel.
Me?
We can do it.
All right, you're invited to Oakley's 18th birthday skydiving party. I'm going.
Okay.
I'm going to go because I don't want to miss out on life.
So the only reason I went there is this. So I learned I had a fear of heights, hiking Yosemite National Park. I had no idea. My whole life, I just said I didn't like roller coasters.
Right.
I wasn't avoiding roller coasters. I just didn't like roller coasters.
Yep.
Who needs to go on roller coasters anyhow? But I was hiking. I get to the end of Yosemite National Park, and you have to hold to these cables, right? And I just started to cry. I was like, there's no way. I'm going to fall. The whole height phobia just came in. And I spend time, and my professional career is getting people to approach, not avoid. And I was like, okay, I can't do this. And so I started my own hierarchy, and I started by doing chairs and then stairs and then going to the roof of my house. And then I got to the top of it, which was skydiving. I was so terrified. And I avoided for a while. Eventually, my friends is like, you know what to do. So she took me skydiving, and I went 3 times in a row in the same day. And this is the trick. That's the only way to overcome that fear of heights, is that you have to train your brain to just do it over and over again. And now I love skydiving. It's like so fun.
Really?
I am not joking.
So could you go back to Yosemite now and be with those cables?
100%.
Because what I always used to say is, I'm not afraid of heights. I have this feeling that I'm falling.
That's exactly what
and
a fear of heights is.
I don't like.
Yeah, but that's just biology, Mel. That's just biology. And it's the same biology behind avoidance. So you asked me about avoidance. So avoidance is anything that we do or don't do, okay, in response to a perceived threat. that is designed, so there's a perceived threat that's
Okay.
designed to bring our anxiety, discomfort, you name it, down fast, okay? But it keeps us stuck long term.
Huh.
So let me unpack this for us.
Please.
I call it the 3 R's of avoidance. You either retreat, react, or remain. Okay, so if we retreat, what do I mean by that? It's what you're doing about skydiving. You have this thought and you're like, I'm just going to move away. Retreating
Yes.
is moving away from discomfort. That's that flavor of avoidance. People retreat when they get an email that they don't like, they don't read that email. My husband does this all the time. He puts an email on the other screen. He's like, I'm just not going to look at that. We retreat by not having conversations with people. We're in our head. We're thinking. We're ruminating, right? We're moving away from discomfort. For some of us, avoidance is reacting. That's how I avoid. Whenever something threatens me, perception of threat, an email about somebody that I don't like or
Right.
conflict,
Right.
I go towards that. I move towards that discomfort because I feel so anxious. So I write an email really fast. I can't believe you said that, blah, 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 and I press send. And then I'm like stuck on email jail because now I just reacted without thinking. And that's avoidance, right? I'm avoiding discomfort.
I don't know if I understand that. So I understand the retracting, right? But I don't understand the reacting. Can you give me another example?
I'll give you several examples. So reacting as a form of avoidance, something happens and you have discomfort. Okay, I'll give an example. Dan Harris, I was just recording with him last week, and he gave a great example, a personal example. He said, whenever I feel threat, the way he reacts with anger.
Oh, yes.
Right?
I yell at my dog when he's barking too much. I'm like,
That's-
ah!
That's it, because your dog barking is creating some discomfort in your body. That discomfort in your body, basically, you have to attack the discomfort so you feel better, right? Responding to email, anger, grabbing a drink too fast, have a bad day and you're just going to.
Oh, so is having a smoke, a vape, hitting a joint, pouring a drink, that is reacting?
Yes, you're.
Oh.
And it's funny, we can slice and dice the R's of avoidance, but like you're basically trying to moving towards discomfort and in reacting, right? Versus retreating, you're moving away. Let me do the third one and then we can unpack a couple of examples. But the third one is remain. This is the deer in the headlight. It is staying in a situation when you know no longer works. You're in a job you dislike, but the fear of another job just makes you so paralyzed that you stay. Stay in a relationship that you don't like, right? It's frozen. So the remain of avoidance is you're frozen in place. You know it's not working, right? But you're not going towards discomfort or moving away. You're just literally frozen.
Wow. So what I love about this is that this, for anybody that feels like, well, I don't have anxiety, what you do have are moments every single day where your emotions get triggered and you're uncomfortable.
That's it.
And what I'm gathering from this conversation is that your work is really about creating a baseline of people of emotional peace.
That's 100% it.
That when you are uncomfortable, when you're triggered, when you're afraid, when your emotions go bananas, literally that is the moment that we all seek to avoid. And avoiding, wow. So is drinking or smoking, would that be more of a retreat?
That falls more in a retreat. So right, you're moving away, you're trying to take that discomfort away. So it's absolutely retreat. But I love what you said, Mel, because that is it. We all want to be comfortable all the time. Let's be clear, comfortable all the time. There's nothing meaningful there, right? And if we are completely uncomfortable, completely out of our comfort zone, we're on fight, flight, and freeze, and we're stuck. So what I want to create is a comfortably uncomfortable world, a world that you're just enough out of your comfort zone towards the things that matter the most, and that you're fighting the real enemy here, which is avoidance. And we're avoiding microwaves, right? We just turn on the TV and numb out. We go on social media. And those little moments, it's like, that's what I love, your 5-second rule, because that's sort of the same idea. It's like in 5 seconds, you can choose to go towards a life that matters, or you can choose avoidance. And it's a choice.
You're right, it is. Because we do avoidance on autopilot. And there is a big lie that we're telling ourselves. Because you said that we do it because we're uncomfortable. And that in order to live the life that we want, we've got to be willing to be uncomfortable. But I believe if you're really honest with yourself, you'll see that avoiding the hard stuff, avoiding the things that you fear, avoiding taking a risk, that's actually more uncomfortable because you know that you're selling yourself short. I have my jaw on the floor. I don't think anybody has really shown this like spotlight on the topic of avoidance